Can everyone hear me? Is this working? Are we live? Howdy, everybody. Oh my god. Did I just green screen something? No. How do I make it stop? Oh god. Let's go. Let's go. What is this? No, don't do that. I don't know how to turn off the green screen, guys. I'm in a green blob. Okay. You can all hear me though, right? Welcome to the Emerald Tablet. Today, today we'll be doing a Q&A hangout question session. So, if you'd like to support more of these streams, please consider donating to the PayPal or the Ko-fi account, or becoming a YouTube member, or donating to those crypto wallets, because I hate taxes. Welcome, and let's just jump right into it. How we doing today? We got Big Hole Art in the chat. Petro's here, another guy. Kimberly, Tyler. Boss Man's waving. Howdy, Boss Man. Necrodancer, always good to see. Surf. First question, are we going to get interactive live sessions or study groups or just Q&A and book reading? I mean, this is kind of interactive. I mean, I've got a bunch of questions that are on the, the YouTube post that I kind of want to answer, but yeah, there's going to be, I want to do more study groups. I wanted to do a Julia Savola study group in the Telegram chat. Like, go live in the Telegram chat. If you haven't subbed to the Telegram, don't worry about it. It's pretty crazy in there. But yeah, I just like personal life just got in the way. So I'm just like trying to sort some things out, get to a little reading in the meantime. But that's still a dream. The dream's not dead. Nick D, the screen is green. Yeah, I turned on the green screen function. I don't know how to turn it off. What if I just... No, I didn't. That didn't work. I don't know, guys. I don't know what to do now. Tarot pool. Oh, shit, I forgot to bring my tarot cards. Lucian, howdy. I'll pull a tarot pool for you next time, sir. We'll do a tarot stream another time. Ready to drop some knowledge. Lean Green Mean Machine. Yes, we're in the Emerald Tablet, everybody. Let's go. What is the spiritual significance of not paying your taxes? Basically, it means you no longer feed the Antichrist, and it makes the demiurge cry when you don't pay taxes. That's what happens. Boss Man, I would be really interested in a Hermetic tradition reading group. Yeah, because with Evola, I want to do... maybe go through some of the essays in Introduction to Magic. I think that would be really cool. But let's get to some of these questions that people left on the YouTube post. So the first one, it's a Lucian. Lucian, you asked 2 questions. What are your thoughts on having a caste system in society? And what are your thoughts on Pure Land Buddhism? How very... 2 completely different questions. So first, caste system. I don't think we can go back, guys. I don't think we can. The problem, like with the, it's not that there's a, it's not that there's, can I say that, not that there's a problem with the caste system? The problem is we've already mixed society in a sense. And the problem with the caste system, really, you want to know the problem with the caste system is really, I've mentioned it before, but it's the center of gravity of the caste system. It's, peasant, worker, merchant, or some kind of artisan class, and then warrior, who's sometimes also a poet, and then above them is the priest class, and that's seen as the top one, but there's actually one higher than that. The higher class is the sacred king, which is a single individual. And there's no one who's kind of at the, well, maybe there is someone who's at the level of a sacred king, but the sacred king is usually someone from the warrior class who's imbued with powers from the priests of the priestly class. So it shows that the priest class still has humility, even though they're the highest caste technically. But it's just that there's so much corruption in all of the layers. The warrior class gets corrupted and they become mere mercenaries. The merchant class just gets corrupted. We are ruled by the merchant class, the businessmen nowadays. They rule everything. The priest class become corrupt and they just like to control people. The peasant class become corrupt and the plebeian revolts happen and everyone dies. In the end, I don't think there's any going back. So what we have to do to reconcile that is synthesize the caste system within us. So you got to work, but also we need some kind of connection to the higher. So we need to cultivate the priest within us. And it's hard because the priest and the peasant hate each other. The laborer is practical, pragmatic, just wants to get stuff done. And the priest is like, no, abstraction, metaphysics, these are important. And potentially there's the one in between them, the warrior poet, can kind of help reconcile them. But we need to be all three of those and a good statesman in our life as well if we have a family. And it's tough. It's tough. As for Pure Land Buddhism, your second question, I don't know much about Pure Land Buddhism. The Pure Land Buddhism, for those who don't know, it's a Chinese, I'm pretty sure Chinese variant. So you got the Theravada Buddhism, Southeast Asia. You got Zen in Japan, you got more Vajrayana kind of stuff in Tibet and Mongolia. There's Vajrayana stuff in Japan as well. But Pure Land Buddhism seems to be a Chan Buddhism, Mahayana. And the deal with it is, the different realms in Buddhism? So there's like hell, and then there's hungry ghosts, animals, humans, and then there's the demigods or the asuras, and then there's the god realm. But the god realm isn't paradise, because in the god realm there's still, it's not that there's suffering, it's the god realm and like the hell realm are like not connected, but they're close to each other, and so the gods perpetually see into hell, and it's like, I could end up there, and there's like a fear of losing your power. And then it's like in the Asura realm, they continuously look up at the god realm, and there's this continuous churning envy. And so it's like, even the hell realm and the hungry ghost realm are the realms that suck the most, even the higher realms are still laden with, high school level freaking emo tensions and whatnot. And it's like the thing beyond the realms. All those 6 realms are on the wheel of samsara. What's beyond them is the Pure Land, where the Pure Land Buddhas are. And those Pure Land Buddhas send the teachings into the samsara, into the realms, into the worlds, to help us escape into the Pure Lands. That's my idea of what Pure Land Buddhism is, as it's come to me. I haven't studied it properly or anything, so that seems to be what Pure Land Buddhism is. And once again, the only reason I know of Pure Land Buddhism is that's supposedly the Buddhist sect that when there was a lot of Pure Land Buddhism temples around when Manichaeism came down the Silk Road. So when Western or Middle Eastern, the Middle Land Gnosticism came to China, it mixed with Pure Land Buddhism and like peepees touched and everyone got along. So it may be that in some Pure Land Buddhist temples, traditions, there is a connection with, there may be some remnants, there may be some remnants of a little bit of Gnosticism in them, Manichaean Gnosticism in them nowadays. Possibly. This is just all possible. This is just speculation on my part. Tyler, make that demiurge cry, that little bitch. Yeah, damn straight. Baden Hermetic Study Group. Maybe. I actually kind of want to do, if I do a study group, I kind of want to skip to the 3rd book. So the thing with Baden is there's the 3 books, Initiation to Hermetics, what's the one on Evocation and Practical Magic, and then there's the Keys to the True Kabbalah. It's said in the tradition that you're supposed to read them in sequence, but actually the 2nd book is crap and you can skip it. This is what people have said. But it's actually come out that like the 3rd book is basically not Kabbalah, but like kerning and the kerning work. So you can potentially just learn that as a system in and of itself. And so I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Maybe I could do that. Bro finally made it to the green void. Thank you, Sir Willie Smalls. We're in the Emerald Tablet today. Well, Kuthanaut, I think he's put a question. We'll get some more questions. We'll get some more questions. But Big Hole Art, thank you for the $5. Love your work, Bald Man. Keep it up. Thank you. Thank you. North Seeker Adventures. Why is Western magic so different from Eastern magic? It's not. Look at some Taoism. Look at some ceremonial magic in Taoism. And look at some ceremonial magic in the West. And there's some pee-pee touching. There's some pee-pee's touch. Mainly, I think astrology, Chinese astrology, has links to Babylonian astrology. And because all Western astrology, comes through the Hellenic, Egyptian, Babylonian thing. And then, of course, ceremonial magic has a lot of planetary influences to it. It can very well be that's the connection. There's some pee-pee touching. There's some pee-pee touching, 100%. To do with some celestial things. It's interesting. It's interesting. Lucien, reconciling the case system within you is a very helpful answer. Thank you. No problem. No problem, bruh. Noah, salute. My heart goes out to you, Noah. My heart goes out to you. Big Hole Art, are you an apocalyptic Gnostic? Kinda. I enjoy a good amount of Gnostic pessimism. I do. Next book needs to be about Taoism. Let's get our Tao up, guys, says another guy. Yeah, I'd like to do that too. Big Hole Art, how to transmute your exiohari. This is somatic working with the body. There's people who don't know the exiohari, that's Gurdjieff's term for the sexual energy. Sexual transmutation is it's a little interesting. I want to make a video on that one day. But for now, it's like, I'm very skeptical about visualization and intentionality of directing energies. I think what there is a way to use awareness because where awareness is, energy flows, to place your awareness within your body for a long enough period of time that energy builds there and condenses and compresses, and that compressing both refines but pushes the energy into certain channels and moves it around. That's why I think there is a whole very big, deep thing on using the body, awakening in the body in a lot of traditions. That's the key. Kuthanaut, the heavenly Tao is waiting for us, bros. Yeah, one day. 2KXX, is there a point in getting my Taoism up if I can't ascend to the heavenly immortal realm? Exactly. That's what we're all trying to do, really. I dropped like 5 questions, lol, Snulu. Yeah, we should get to some. Okay. Pause, everyone, pause. So, more YouTube questions. Noble Exile 4296 asks, should I bother with learning and practicing what's within Franz Bond's initiation into Hermetics? Is there a better system to learn? Here's the thing about systems. If you're like this, and a system is like this, you go into a system and you grow into the system, and it's great because it helps you grow. But the system is like this, and you'll reach a point where you hit the edges of it, and it constrains you. This is one reason why, I won't get into that, but it's like, these systems aren't the answer, but discarding them is also wrong. They're a tool. Do Golden Dawn. Do Franz Barton. Read, Crowley's book 4, if that's your thing. Use the system. And it's not like, if you do Franz Barton's initiation to Hermetics, it's not like you'll be able to, blow up things with your mind by, focusing on, using the air and fire element, and like focusing on something across the room and imbuing it with the air and fire element until it starts shaking and it explodes or something. It's not that you're necessarily getting to that point, but in, not necessarily doing that, but in trying to do those practices, something else is built in you. Qualities are built in you. on the very basic level, doing the practice is building a discipline that builds a certain quality within you, that builds discipline within you. So it's like, should I bother with learning? If you don't have a system, if you're new, if you're a beginner, 100% dog, get into Initiation to Hermetics, read it, do the practices, try and work it out, look online, see what other people have done. Some people skipped some practices, some people did practice some practices really deeply, some people got results out of certain practices but not out of others, and then other people got results out of these ones and not those ones. Being around that and being in that can be very, very helpful. Very, very helpful. 100%. And once you reach the limit of what you can learn from that system, eventually what happens is intuitionally, which sounds so new agey, or even like sometimes by accident, or things just kind of come to you, like what you need. Another book will come to you, and it's like it has this other thing that's missing in your system, that then it's like, here's something I can do to work. Because we all got different conditions, bruh. We have different conditions, so something that one person needs, maybe someone's a little dumb, maybe someone's a little sick. The cure for stupidity and the cure for a sickness are two different things. Those are two different conditions. I'm just using that as an example. Those are two different conditions. So some systems may have a lot of medicine teachings in them. That's not because medicine is the path of the absolute. That's because, maybe because of the history of that system at one point in time, they needed that. And so there was a lot of people who just came in with that condition, and it's like, okay, so we're going to do heal. Guess we're doing healing now. Whereas like another system which may have came out more out of the academy may involve, connecting with entities and trying to get them to teach you things, teach you weird subjects and stuff like that. It's like those things that you see aren't going to take you to the absolute, but they're there to change the conditions, so that you can build certain qualities in yourself and then do the real thing that's going to move you forward. I'm not sure if I answered that question or I just rambled. Let's do a couple more. The handle goes here asks, are you up on the law surrounding the Sonichu medallions? Yeah, no, I'm not, but I've seen this around, how some people have been getting them and then instantly they're like getting into trouble with the law or something, like the Sonichu medallions have a curse on them. How does one ward off the curse so one does not end up like Boulder? I don't know, dog. I'm not. Just don't go there. Just don't go there. Like, I'm sorry if you're like watching this now and you've got a Sonichu medallion on and you're like, oh fuck. You're hoping I'd answer that, but Matt, look, all you can do is wrap the Sonichu medallion up in silk, and then put it in a glass container, throw it into the ocean. That's all you can do. That's all you can do. Really. I mean, you can bury it under the roots of a tree in a graveyard. I don't know. That's the best I can do, dog. Scouse2184 asks on the YouTube post, what is the most difficult, intellectually challenging book you've ever read? So that's interesting, because there's different ones in different times. Like, Meditation on the Taros was hard when I first read it. And that was the most rewarding, I would say. But then there's stuff that, just philosophy books are tough, bro. Reading reading Henry Bergson is easier than reading Edmund Husserl. Like, it's just the style, almost. But then something like, say, like Plato, right? Some Platonic... What are they called? The Platonic books. Dialogues. Some Platonic dialogues are easy to read. And then you pick up the Parmenides and you start peeing in your pants and you're crying and you're like shaking and you're like, who's talking? I forgot. What are they saying? I don't understand. So like, I don't know, like the Parmenides is tough. That's intellectually challenging. Can I use that as my answer? Cal TM asks on the YouTube post, I'm losing motivation as to why to not simply watch porn. Why should I continue? I have a feeling it's better not to, but can't really bring myself to be fully convinced it doesn't matter. I'm not sure if this is the correct place to be asking this, Cal, but Like, I mean, never goon, dog. If you're addicted, bro, see a psychiatrist, see a psychologist. If you're, I know, if you're struggling, you don't want to, do you have a girlfriend? Is there any chance you can connect with women in real life? Because that would be better. That would be better. Unless you just fall into, I don't know, like going to prostitutes or something, and that could be an addiction in and of itself, then I don't know. See, this is not a good answer, but I'll give it just in case it might help. Look, if you have like someone who's really overweight and they have an actual addiction to food, one thing you do is you don't just switch them onto salad. One thing you do is you say, okay, what's your favorite? Steak, KFC, McDonald's, In-N-Out? And if they say, like, I know, I like Five Guys, and you go, okay, cool, you can only ever eat Five Guys. You restrict their diet to just one thing, even though it's still unhealthy, just one thing. You restrict it to just that. And then it's like, okay, you can eat Five Guys. And then it's like, after a month, okay, you can only eat the burgers. You're not allowed to order chips or soda. It's just water. And you can have as many Five Guys burgers as you want, but just the water. Just the water, no chips, just the burgers. And then it's like, and then you wean on to something else. Like, okay, now we're going to go, you can only make burgers at home. And then it's like, and then slowly you wean it off into that. So I don't know, if you're having, and this is the thing with porn though, because it's like porn, sorry. I'm going to get banned on YouTube. This is the thing with that though. The problem is can you wean yourself off? Because one thing leads to another. It's never, and especially if there's a site where you can just like swipe up or something, or just there's always like a related link and the thumbnail tempts you or something. But what I was going to say is like, if you really can't go without an erotic fixation, just read it. Go do the woman thing and read smut and say like, I'm not allowed to watch any corn, any prawn, any videos or images. But like, if you can't help yourself, and you're just like shaking and you just like jizz is coming out of your ears and eyes or something, read smut or something. Not hentai, there's still images there. Do the woman thing. But I mean, that's still not helpful though. Really? It's like, do push-ups, do something, dog. Get out. Change, and it's hard. If I say like change your life, but if you're trapped at home, you're screwed. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. It's tough. It's tough. And I'm gonna I'll get back into chat now. Another guy. Who's this? Vox Impulse. Could you talk about what really happens in a sexual union, man, woman, of course. Also, if you have any takes about those ancient sacred prostitutes. I think the sacred prostitutes thing may have been a real thing in the sense of initiation, but there was a certain level of purity there, which sounds weird, which they just don't have anymore. It wouldn't work. And also, that system degenerated in and of itself anyway over time. We know this from like, I don't know, Herodotus talk about the Assyrian temples or something. I swear there's someone mentions, and it's just like all the girls would just be sent to temple prostitution, but all the effect would have was all of the pretty girls would, because you could stay there as long as you want, but you have to be a prostitute at least once. But if a girl was pretty, she would immediately get picked up by a guy, lose her virginity, and then she could just leave the temple. What happens when you're an ugly girl? It just means you're a nun for the rest of your life because no one wants to be with you. Like, ouch, bro. Fucking ouch. Anyway, sacred prostitutes is just not going to work. It's not going to work anymore. Don't try it, Vox. Don't try it. Don't you dare try it, Vox. Anyway, what really happens between a man? What really happens? I mean, what happens is what you know what happens. Physically, something happens, which is obvious. In different levels, different things happen. There's a psychological level, of course. I mean, some people who aren't really connected to their partner, there's no psychological level. They're just masturbating with another human being, which is tragic. But if there's connection there, that's good. And then on another level to that, there's the energetic level, which I'm in two minds about. I'm of the opinion that really for it to actually be tantric, And I mean Tantra in the truest sense of the word, for if you're doing some kind of sexual alchemy properly, both people need to have knowledge of energy manipulation and both people need to have skill in energy manipulation, meaning that you've done a bunch of introspection and practices working with energies within your body. If it's just one person doing it, I don't think it works. There's some people who have said, like, as long as the other person truly loves, then that love acts as like a kind of a magnetic pole that the other person's energy can work with. But I doubt it. Maybe that is true in some exceptional cases. When people talk about using sexual union as a kind of a short path to enlightenment, both partners need to already be in some sense adept, or else it's just sex, dog. Or else you're just deluding yourself into making sex something more than it is, and that in and of itself can create dysfunctions. Like, people have sexual dysfunctions already, dog. Do you really want to put a load on their chest that it's like, if we don't succeed in sexual transmutation in this practice, if we don't succeed in this tantric practice, then we're going to go to the abyss. It's like, we need to do this to spiritually enlighten. And if you don't do it correctly, we won't be enlightened. It's like, if you're mixing that into your sexual practice, that's just going to create angst, that's going to create dysfunction. You're actually going to ruin the sexual practice, because the sex is something like, to use Gurdjieffian terms, it's like, the cylinders of the human machine. You have your intellectual, your emotional, your motor, your instinctual, and your sexual. So the sexual cylinder itself is working. It doesn't need any of the other cylinders. In fact, it works worse when they try to infect it. And what you're doing in that sense is you're mixing the intellectual cylinder with your sexual cylinder, and it's going to warp it and make it weird, and you're probably going to get some weird sexual dysfunctions from it. But if both people are practitioners, if both people are adept on some level, then that sexuality can have that, it can be, you could say, the ignition switch that ignites a process far faster than a single individual. If you are so lucky as to be in one of those situations, you could say something like, what would take a single individual 20 years, two people adepts working in that way, a male and a female, could do the same amount of what an individual does in 20 years could be done in 2 years or something like that. That's what they say. No, Coiner, draw me a tarot card or else. Oh. Just a second, I'm going to flip this book. 23. 2 plus 5. Sorry, 2 plus 3 is 5. 5 is the Hierophant. Coin Noah, your card is card number 5, the Hierophant. This is an interesting card because when you look at the major arcana, what do you see? You see, like, the guy in the chariot, you see the magician, they're standing, and then there are other cards like the Emperor who's sitting. The Hierophant is also sitting. So there is a regalness, an authority to the Hierophant, but it's passive in a sense that it's sitting on a throne, usually. Sometimes there are other people in the card. What is this? There is this authority. What are those people there for? They're there to draw knowledge from the Hierophant. Where does the Hierophant get his knowledge? He gets it from above. So in the same way that the Emperor is also a symbol of authority. There's a plane going overhead. Jesus, hold up. In the same way that an emperor is the Emperor card is a symbol of authority in the physical world, the Hierophant can be seen as a type of authority, not as temporal authority, but an internal authority. A Hierophant is someone who has a connection to the internal world, so they have an authority. They can tell you about it. So that's your card. Your card is the Hierophant. What does that mean for you, No Coiner? It may not mean that you need to become a Hierophant. It may just mean that that's what you should be focusing on. You should be focusing on your connection to something higher. Adamu, howdy. Have you ever read Mayrink's novels? Motherfucker, I really want to read them. I really do. I've got I've got a bunch of them, but it's like, it's on the list, dog. It's on the list. You know what? I'm gonna start reading them. I'm gonna start reading them. Boss mans. Necrodancer, thank you for the $5. Which is more powerful, blood crystals or jizz crystals? This is tough actually, because blood has serious stuff in it, but also jizz is the force that creates life, whereas blood is the pulsing of life. So that's like tough. I recommend jizzing on black oak. Nah, that's not gonna work, dog. What are you fucking talking about? But yeah, moonstones or rubies? Just go with rubies, dog. If he brings the deck out, I donate to. I just flipped through a book to a number and then used numerology to create a major arcana surf. Is that what you want? Do you want me to do that for you too? Lots of edging. So Willie Smalls, I bought the new Kundalini butt plug from Joe Dispenza. And I can feel it rising within me. I'm enlightened now. So Willie Smalls, that's amazing. It's amazing that you have achieved that. That's so good. Thumbs up to Boss Man's question. Yes, North Secret Adventures. When I compare Western occultism to Eastern occultism, I find that a Shaolin monk laying on a spear head and not being punctured or even Gurdjieff works looks very but that's not Eastern mysticism. This is the thing. Shaolin monk laying on a spearhead is the Shaolin temples got emptied of their monks, bro, and the Chinese communists realized that tourists come and want to see the temples and asks where the monks are. So they start putting monks in the temples, people dressed as monks in the temples, and they're like, oh, do the monks do anything? And the Chinese people like, bro, do a backflip. And then all of a sudden you have this tradition of Shaolin warriors who can balance on spearheads, and they hang themselves, and it's 1920s. Like a lot of what someone found out, like a lot of the northern Chinese styles, so their long stretches and stuff, is actually Swedish gymnastics from the 1920s. Because people look to the east, but you have to understand, a lot of the east looked to the west not too long ago, and they still do. And so a lot of the stuff that's purported to be ancient, and this is true in yoga specifically, is actually very modern. And the older yoga stuff, the actual positions in yoga are very simple. None of this warrior pose, that's Swedish gymnastics, bro. And the same can be said for a lot of Chinese stuff. So, dog. Just saying. I'm not going to blow up a planet like Vegeta, I'm just saying. Noah, what's your take on theosophy? I asked in the group a few days ago, they said it's shiz, which I agree with, but why do we hate it? Here's the thing. So this once again, we got to separate German theosophy from, when we say theosophy and we go cringe, we mean the theosophy started by Madame Blavatsky. Here's the problem with Blavatsky, though. Blavatsky was a genius. And even her greatest critic, René Guénon, had to mention, like, Blavatsky was a genius, and he said she was a genius. He said she was a genius, and he continued by turning it into a backhanded compliment and saying, too bad her successors did not share this trait. And that's the problem. Because Blavatsky was a genius. Yeah, she had a little modus operandi. Yeah, she did a little sussy stuff here, but she could write, and she read. She was a reader. She was a good philosopher. Even I would even go to say she was a good philosopher. Her projects to combine science, theology, and philosophy into one thing. That's tough, bro. That's tough. That's hard. So even though you may not like her results, it's still admirable. And when you look at her, she's got Western sources. So she's still good to read for Western esotericism. What are her sources? Her sources are Neoplatonism, her sources are Jakob Boehm, her sources are Paracelsus. She's read the Zohar, she respects Eliphas Levi, quotes Eliphas Levi. Her Western sources for Western esotericism are solid. It's the people that came after Blavatsky. And the thing is, Blavatsky, she was a Leo, so she was a bitch. But her Mercury, when you look at her, like, zodiacal natal chart, her Mercury's in Virgo. So she's a very fastidious writer. When you read her, she's got sources everywhere, footnotes everywhere. this comes from here, this comes from there, this guy. And a lot of the books are out of print, so it's hard to confirm. And she does do a little bit of a source. It came to me in a dream every now and then. So I'm not wash hand waving that away completely. But it's the people that came after her, the lead beaters, the Besants, Annie Besants. They're the people who are like, Source, trust me, bro. Source, trust me. It came to me in a dream. Source, trust me. I am a reincarnation of King Arthur, and like and you're my Guinevere, and then it's like, and then, oh, you're new to this. Oh, you're new to Theosophy. That's great. Oh, what's that? You got a lot of money? I'm just receiving something. Oh, you're Lancelot. Come into our inner circle. Trust me, bro. It's the later Theosophists are the ones that did that, and that's why nowadays it's cringe. Basic. Well, after Stein left, after Krishnamurti left, after Quan Judge left, Howard C. Percival left, after Leadbeater finally died because he was a pedo, and like after Besant finally, and Besant was criticized at one point. You know, she was found to like literally be changing the teachings of Blavatsky because Blavatsky was more into Tibetan Buddhism. Whereas Besant was like, no, we need to go to the Vedas. And she became very Indian, very Vedic. We need to go to India, you know, maybe help the British Raj suppress the Indians. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. And so there's a lot to hate in no, I shouldn't say hate, but it's like there's a lot to be like, yeah, Theosophy cringe, which is why I see this ironic thing when we talk about Theosophy. You should separate Blavatsky from Blavatskyan Theosophy. Blavatsky should be her own. You know, she quotes Jakob Boehm. You can almost put her as the end point of the German Theosophists and the beginning of this New Age Theosophy. But keep her on the cool side. That's my take on Theosophy. So later Theosophists, yeah. Quan Judge, Ocean of Theosophy, that's a good book. You know, Howard C. Percival, Thinking and Destiny, it's interesting. I don't trust Besant and I don't trust Leadbeater. Steiner was cool, but he did his own thing in the end. Anyway, if I can't blow things up with my mind, why even bother? Exactly. This is why people are cringe. And it's like, it's not just about compassion, bro. Compassion is just to mean to the ends. It's to mean to get those cities, dog. Necrodancer. I can implode things with my gut. I can implode my guts with my things. Another guy, my face when hermeticism isn't about being a hermit. With that being said, is hermit maxing based? It's good to hermit max every now and then, but if you do it too much, you just separate from humanity and become weird. Nick D in the Pure Land temple I hang out at, they have 5 nice deities and 1 demon as statues in the garden that you must light incense for, and they can't explain who the Death Note looking demon is. That's interesting. Very interesting. Maybe a Manichean thing. Kimberly says, I agree, developing intuition is key, 100%. 100%. Scouse, thoughts on conspiracy about the destruction of the big church bells? Yeah, the big church bells. I mean, look, it could be a conspiracy, but also all of those photos come from like what, First and Second World War? People don't respect temples like they used to, dog. And when it's wartime, the military come and it's like, we need that metal. Give it. So, and a lot of those look, and I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm not saying there's not something more nefarious, but a lot of those pictures are where? From Russia. What happened in Russia? Communism. What do the communists hate? Well, they fucking hate religion. So there is a lot of physical world reasons why those photos exist. Could there be something more nefarious even? Yeah, sure. And what's the other thing? And the difference between those frequencies. So the frequency thing, look, this once again, the 432 hertz being changed to 440 hertz. Yes, there could be something nefarious behind it. There is also something to be said for people being lazy and they just want standardized hertz. That when, you know, you're traveling around the world and you're chopping and changing different instruments in your orchestra. Different people come in and everyone needs to make sure that everything's at the same level. It just becomes a bit of a clusterfuck. So making something standardized and doing it by tens, yeah, okay, I can see that. I can see that. Is there something nefarious where it's like actually 432 hertz actually has a positive quality, and moving it away from 432 hertz actually, I mean, to me it's like the move away from 432 hertz just seems more like ignorance and laziness than anything nefarious. But could there be something nefarious? Sure, sure. Thought, intuition and luck. I think you can systemize the luck, which can solidify your intuition, which make you systematize the luck harder. Yes, systematize the luck harder. Put that on a t-shirt and go to the club. Meditation is based, says Tyler. Yes, it is. Wheel of Fortune pathway, says another guy. 100%. I'm a winner. I'm a winner. Nulu says, I'm addicted to rereading The Magician in MOTT. Meditation on the Tyrant. Yes, the first chapter. That Magician chapter is goes hard. It goes hard. I contend anyone who wants, like, if you see the book, The Meditation on the Tyrant, you see how thick it is, and you're like, oh God, that's too thick for my intellectuality. Look, just read the first chapter. Read the Magician chapter. That little 30-page chapter can be a book in and of itself, can be a teaching in and of itself. It's amazing. Kufanaut says, lol, you read Lord of Mysteries, another guy? He's not the only one, Kufanaut. Where am I in Circle of Inevitability? I'm like 500 chapters in, about halfway. About halfway now. It's good. It's good. You know what? I'm just going to go way off topic because it's it's cultivation literature. It can be esoteric. Circle of Inevitability, I think, gets a little too much hate. People need to see it like this. There's no tarot club, so there's nothing breaking up the chapters, so it can feel boring. But he's setting the scene. You know, like in all of those Sherlock Moriarty chapters and Lord of Mysteries, where it's kind of like he's setting the scene. It's like Sherlock Moriarty goes around, he goes for lunch, and he sees the people in the street, and he sees their suffering, and all of that just hits harder. You know, and he's interviewing an old lady in a cafe, and then she dies, and it's like, oh, that's kind of tragic. All of that stuff just adds to the, like later on when there's the Smog and Buckland, it adds to that. And that's what he does a lot in Circle of Inevitability. He sets the scene a lot so that when he just goes in deep, he hits the cervix of your soul. And it so it's more like, I don't know, if you finish Lord of Mysteries and you're like, should I read Circle of Inevitability? If you liked the Sherlock Moriarty chapters and you wanted them to continue, read Circle of Inevitability. That's my recommendation. Adamu, Sonny True Medallion can only be destroyed by an equal but opposite high chromosome force through into rice fields. So, yeah, I mean, I was just thinking of suppressing the powers, but I mean, if you have an equal force, go for it. Petra in the chat, I have purely platonic dialogues with your mum all the time. 100, thank you for keeping it platonic. Nulu, bro is a gooner. You talk about meditations on the Tara on your channel enough. You don't talk about meditation. I don't talk about it enough. Yeah, I want to talk about so much more. Schumann resonance. I got prom problems. You suggest Five Guys? I'm sorry, okay. Merlin, what have ancestor worship is good for luck and money? Please respond. Look, good for luck. Make sure your ancestors are happy. The problem with ancestors is if you've got bad ones, they kind of screw you over. So marry into a family with good ancestors and worship them instead. Got it, Rich. Rule 34, Five Guys. That's not what I was saying. Scouse, Google easy peasy method for quitting prawn. Course they're not. Another guy, I read the novel from like five. Okay, we're talking about Lord of Mysteries. Let's go. And just recently, with the novel adaptation to anime, I started second part, Circle of Inevitability. Holy shit! I just understand how much of an occult knowledge there. I know, right? That guy, I swear to God, the cuttlefish is 100% he's read some Western. So I think Cuttlefish has read Golden Dawn stuff because his system of physical body, body of life, body of heart, mind, astral body, spirit body, that's just the. If you overlay that on the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn's tree of life, that's their system. It's like, it's Malkuth is the physical body, the Yesod is kind of the body of life, the etheric body, and then there's like, they say Hod is the mental body, which is heart and life, which is what the spectator pathway manipulates, and then there's the astral body, which you go into the astral world with, which is their netsack, and then there's the body of spirit, which is Tippereth, the causal world, and so he switches the names up to hide it, but it's like he's using that Kabbalistic structure as the backbone of the metaphysics in his novel, basically. So I'm like, this Chinese guy, he knows what's up. And even like in the early chapters of Lord of Mysteries, there's that one bit where he's like just on the seer pathway and he goes to that party and there's those girls doing mirror magic. And he's like, oh God, they're going to like summon a demon and kill everybody. And so he gets one of them and he gets her to do like a secret knock while he sets up a counter ritual. And the secret knock are these specific taps. And the taps he gives are literally taps they give in Freemasonry. They're secret Freemasonic knocks. And I'm like, dog, this guy knows some stuff. He's a little sussy bucker. He's into it. He's on it. Kuthanot says he needs to put analysis for it. He said, I'm very excited to hear his thoughts. Well, I hope you enjoyed my gushing on Lord of Mysteries. Necrodancer. Thank you for another $5, Necrodancer. You're always coming in clutch with that. Be the best gooner you can be. Exactly. When you goon, you release energy. I mean, that's not necessarily good. Don't waste energy. Exactly. Edging, not gooning. I need to get like a shirt that just like, I don't know, has a guy with a whippersnapper doing his garden and it just says certified edger or something. Like, we need those shirts. Adamu, life dual cultivation partner. That's what it's all about. True yin-yang absorption. Scouse. I remember watching Ghoulies, late 80s, as a young child. Only as an adult did I realize it had sex magic in it. Oh, okay. What's Ghoulies? I don't know. Are you a King Glizzard enjoyer? No. Actually, that sounds familiar. What is that? Is it a band? Maybe I've heard a song if it's a band or something. Internet Explorer, welcome. Howdy. Eating slop and watching the stream. Enjoy the slop. Ta asks, does the sexual energy come in male-female polarity or is it just the same thing? Comes in male-female polarity. Hence why dual cultivation is man-woman. And it's not because they're sexist and they hate the LGBT community. It's because magnets, dog. There's even Taoists go into that. They say there are Taoists who claim that there's Taoist literature claiming that experiments have been done, and it's like if you get two men to do it, there's an overload of yang, and you like blow your energetic system out. And then there's when two women do sexual magic together, the energy is neutral, so it's polishing the mirror. Nothing happens. It's like a quiet lake and you add another lake to the quiet lake, there's just more quiet lake. I don't know, that's a bad analogy, but you know what I mean? Whereas like two dudes, it's like a forest fire and then you nuke it and you're just making things worse. Overload of yang. So Willie Smalls, do you use any money magic? No, it doesn't. I think I have too much karma, bruh. Karma ruins money magic for me. If so, what? I'm trying to Dark Lord Max, but affording my Wizard Tower is taking too long. I know, right? I know. See, this is where I respect Gurdjieff over people like Crowley. Crowley was a trust fund baby, and then he lived in poverty for the rest of his life. Gurdjieff was a hustler, dog. You read the stories about Gurdjieff, and he was like flipping businesses here. He was like starting a carpet business and like going into high society and like rizzing up like old ladies and being like, hey, and then selling them a bunch of carpets for like triple the price that don't need, and then like flipping the business before they come back to return them. He was doing he had insane hustle, and people like, oh, he's a fraudster. He was just what was it? He was a grifter. Blah blah. And it's like, nah, dog. He knew what was up. That's what you got to do. That's just what you got to do. Do some esoteric hustling. Man, R.I.P. Andrew Tate would love Gurdjieff. Blood and Jizz. Boss Man's. This is your sign to read Mayring's Angel of the West Window. Literally, that's the one I've got at home. Motherfricker. Theodore Ken, thank you for the $5. What is your best advice for improving my poetry? And don't give me any of the right from your heart bullshit. So this is interesting. Theodore Kent, so you're a poet. I guess you've read the classics, little Percy, Bussy, Shelley, a little bit of William Blake, stuff like that. This is hard because it's like, I'm not a poet. What the fuck do I know? The only thing I can give is like, I don't know, would be gay advice. Look, if you don't want gay advice, like go to another country and like, I don't know, go to the countryside and meet a girl or something and get her to break your heart with her country girlness. Literally, get into ceremonial magic and try to look, if you want to do it in an esoteric sense, people are going to be like, work with angels of Venus. No, don't work with angels of Venus. Work with all of the different angels of the different planets. Work with the Mercurial ones, work with the Martian ones. And it's not that you're wanting to have a vision of the angels. You're wanting to work with them for an energetic reason. Like, work with the angels, ask them to come, and just be like, let's be friends, bro, hang out. Just do it to like get the energetic response. And write about the tactile sensation of a feeling, because there's something about the different energies pull out different qualities from within you. That's why in ceremonial magic systems, you work with all of the angels. You don't just work with one. It's like, yeah, you work with one. If you want healing, work with the angels of Mercury. Work with the lunar angels if you feel closer to the moon. But when it's a system of development, you work with all of them. So do some kind of pomp and pageantry, because it's like, yeah, people like, oh, meditate or something, and that can get inspiration. Yeah, but you can meditate and nothing can happen. Or that can take you into another, look, I'm not dissing meditation. Maybe meditation is what you need. Try that as well. But there's something about working with other entities. Because this is the poetry I like. This is why I kind of don't like a lot of Western poetry that's like gay and like nature is pretty and I don't know, look at the stream. And it's like, shut the fuck up, Yeats. No, sorry. Yeats is all right. Yeats is cool. He was an esotericist. But when you look at like then Eastern poetry and you look at like Sufi poetry and they're like God, and then they just have the most abstract, and I think it's because I'm an Aquarius. I like abstract stuff. I like metaphysical stuff. And it just sounds so pithy and like it gets my pee-pee, my poetry pee-pee going. So because there's something metaphysical, there's something invisible that you're then interacting with, trying to explain that, trying to write that down, what that sensation feels like, that may be a trigger. Because what you're doing is you're trying to explain something that people don't see and people don't really think of that often. That is where the art comes in, and I don't know. Maybe that'll help your poetry. Maybe it won't. You'll get some ceremonial magic skill out of it. Try it out. Necro. I'm going to go back to some of these YouTube comments. So Prolo 6309 asks, if someone is a narcissist or generally shitty person and uses spiritual imagery for looking superior in interpersonal settings, many such cases, can they still progress spiritually upwards? No. If they put in the work and have legit experience, so if they put in the work, sure, there's certain qualities that they can gain and have legit experiences. This is where the contradiction is. They're not having legit experiences. If they're completely narcissistic, I guarantee all of their effort will fabricate experiences, and their experiences won't be legit. That aren't psychosis. No, no. I reckon most of the people like this, spiritual or not, have personality rooted in the status quo. How much of an obstacle in the work is being a piece of shit, really, while knowing. So, this is interesting. First of all, hold up. Legit experiences. So, there's something to be said here. If you're working with the consciousness, in and of this itself, that's not going to work. If you're a narcissist, you're just going to fall into delusion. You can work with energies and be a narcissist asshole, and you can develop certain things energetically. Sure, you can gain hypnotic powers. You can gain certain magnetic powers, even. So it's like doing internal alchemy and achieving higher states. If you're a narcissist, that you're never going to get there. That is a barrier. You will only fabricate delusion. Doing something like qigong or internal yoga methods that work with energies and developing energetic qualities, gaining a kind of a magnetic power, hypnotic powers, you can be a narcissist and totally do that, 100%. And so the next part of the question is, what is the true obstacle of being a piece of shit? So, but this is the thing, it's like, do you need to be a good person? The morality teachings are there, and so this is where I am going to differ from a lot of people. You know, in like yoga schools, how they're like, yama niyama, before you do meditation, yama and niyama, do's and don'ts, you act morally. And even like Steiner says, like, you got to act morally. I don't think that's a prerequisite. Why that's there is if you hate yourself and you close your eyes, you're just going to keep hating yourself. If you've got depression and you close your eyes and try to meditate, you will increase your depression. If you're an angry person, someone says, just meditate. If you're angry, like, if I go up to you and I deliberately make you angry, I trigger you, and you get angry, but then later on you're not angry, whatever. If you're walking down the street and you remember something from ages ago and you're like, goddamn, and then you just re-distract yourself with something else, and it's like, it goes. Yeah. If you're alone in a dark room, in a completely blank room, doing nothing, and you're just angry, you're not receiving any impressions, and you're angry. If you're alone in a dark room and all you can think of is lustful impressions, you just think of, like, you have pornographic images going through your mind and you're just in a blank, kind of room, that's bad. That's bad. You can't progress if that's your nature. If someone shows you a pornographic image and you react to it, that's just normal. If someone tries to make you angry and they flip you off and you go, fuck you, dude, that's normal. The reason why those morality things are there is to kind of straighten you out. Because if you are highly dysfunctional, if you hate yourself, if you're depressed, if you're an angry person, if you're filled with these desires, to the point that if you go to a blank room and you close your eyes and that's all that arises, that's a barrier. So you do moral things, you be a good person, you be someone you like. Then when you close your eyes, you're not assaulted by memory, by the past, by your defects, by what you lack. These are things that will assault you, what you did in the past, that thing that you did, and all of those things you didn't do. So if you act morally and you're an upright person, when you close your eyes, none of that's going to hit you. So it's not an impediment. That's why the moral and ethical practices are there. That's why the moral and ethical recommendations are there. Yes, there's ways around it, but they're there for that reason, not because morality good. Morals can shift due to societies, certain societies. Some societies, it's like someone dies or someone, someone wrongs you in a certain way. Well, now the moral thing is you have to extract blood from that person. And if you don't, well, then you're a coward. It's immoral. You have to go and kill that person. Whereas in other societies, that's barbarity. There's different morality in different societies. So what's moral? What's the right thing to do? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. What's your internal ethos? If there's a moral in the society that feels internally wrong for you to do, then it's violating your internal ethos. You have an internal ethos. Figure that out. Figure that out. Act towards it. Be a person that you don't hate. And that won't be an impediment. People who are narcissistic, all of them, truly narcissistic, all of them are incredibly insecure people. That's why they have to puff themselves up all the time. Because they're insecure. If you're insecure, and narcissism can manifest like that, but if you're insecure of yourself, oh, I'm not a good person, oh, I can't do it, oh, it's not going to work out. All of those thoughts arise when you close your eyes to try and meditate. So that's an impediment. So can a narcissistic person who's really shitty do the spiritual? No. And they're not going to get any spiritual results. Can a piece of shit asshole work energetically and get some results? Technically, yes. I hope that answered your question, Prolo. Self-dribbling basketball on the YouTube comments asks, what is a book you wish you had in your library? Oh, I've got an Amazon wish list, bro. It's long and veiny. It goes on for miles and miles. That's what I should do one day. You know what? I'll do another live stream and it'll just be my Amazon wish list. And I'll go through and I'll be like, okay, guys, this is what a real Amazon wish list looks like. I want this for this reason. I'll take you through, okay? What's one off the top of my... look, I want to collect all of Gustav Mayrank's books. I want to collect all the rest of Giorgiani's and Evola's books. There's a bunch of philosophy books I want to get. Getting books is one thing. Reading books is another, completely different thing. Antonio Franco asked in the YouTube comments, how do you feel about Giorgiani's theory on the moon and its resemblance to Gurdjieff's view of the moon? I know Giorgiani draws comparison closer encounter, but I'm curious of your interpretation as you're a student of the work. Here's the thing. I wish Giorgiani read more of Gurdjieff, but I'm pretty sure that I know he hasn't. I feel like he was just looking up stuff on the moon, and that was a weird kind of quote that popped up, and so he talks about it, but that's as far as his knowledge goes. And I'm like, oh, man, it would be so... Could you imagine if Giorgiani started fourth way maxing? That would be insane. That would be amazing. That's pee-pee throbbing, right? Just thinking about that gets my pee-pee throbbing, like, oh my God. But as his theory of the moon, yeah, it's interesting. And it comes from direct experiences of remote viewers. Here's the thing. Direct experience of remote viewers, it comes from Ingo Swann in more his later-ish years. And it's hard because if people after that remote view already knowing that, there's maybe some desire for that to be the case and that fabrication can take place. So it'd be good if there's more knowledge we could get. The only other knowledge we have of that is whispers. Because Giorgiani always mentions that, and then he talks about the guy who... They kept on sending guys there, and then some guy went and he never came back. But that's a story, an anecdotal story that comes from the same sort of whispers and the same sort of people. And you can never truly know which of the stories are legit and which are they feeding you to troll you. Because it could be that that's just a story so that you don't go to the moon and confirm it yourself. So it's like, But the theory of the moon is that the moon has archons on it functionally. Giorgiani says the moon has archons on it that have psychotronic technology and they manipulate humans post-death. Well, yeah. Even if it's not exactly that, there are archons that manipulate humans post-death. Yes, 100%. When people die, and I saw Gram and she was there, if reincarnation is true, how is Gram there? Shouldn't she have reincarnated? What's going on? What's the deal? There's something problematic there. And it's like, the question is, do higher beings manipulate people in that way? Do they present themselves as your deceased relatives because they have compassion and they want to help you. And if they just did it, I don't know, as a devil with a pitchfork, that would be a dick move. So of course they're going to come to you as your dead relatives. Or do you see that as something deceptive and they're trying to deceive you? That's where it gets a little finicky. Because Giorgiani, he's committed. He's committed to the situation being bad. And we don't have any friends whatsoever. But Prometheus was a rebel. There were rebel angels. They may not all be bad, dog. They may not all be bad. And he says that. He does say that. I'm not saying he doesn't say that. He says this, even in the breakaway civilization, even the Olympians, there are factions. But he doesn't say more than that, so, yeah. Alil Yu, Forced 7-1 asks, what are the best practices for the path? Meditation, visualization, self-remembering, ceremonial magic, or something else? The question is, what's the best practice for you, dog? Because different people have different conditions. And when you say best practice, what do you mean? Do you mean the easiest practice? Because the easiest practice is the one that you practice. Why? Because the practice is the fruit. You want, I'm not good at meditation because I can't concentrate. Well, guess what, dog? You want to know how to get more concentration? The practice is the fruit. Do concentration and you get more concentration. The practice is the fruit. What's the best practice? Not visualization. I'll say that right. Self-remembering, I don't trust people who don't have at least one practice in their day where they do sitting. So at the very least, sitting. And I'm pro doing energetic work. I think it is totally possible to just skip and go straight to the consciousness and work with the consciousness But working energetically, the energy can be a bridge to that. And also you develop certain qualities by doing energetic work. You develop certain discipline by doing energetic work. Energetic work has certain phenomena that arises that can be used as signposts that are much harder to fabricate than just, I was working with the consciousness and then Jesus came and told me I was in like, yeah, cool. Yeah, I'm sure he did, bro. So I'm pro energetic work. I'm pro sitting, doing some kind of sitting work. And I'm also pro working with, and when I say entities, I don't think working with the dead is as all cracked up as it is. Sorry, I didn't say that right. I don't think working with the dead is cracked up as people make it out to be. Like, I get it. If you're really into ancestor worship, you really want to go, you go for it, dog, go for it. Working with dead people doesn't necessarily mean they're a master. Because they're dead, do they have different knowledge that we may not have? Sure, they may do, they may not. If something is a ontologically superior being, like a master or some kind of angelic being, a daimon, a god, that's better. Doing a sitting practice with some kind of energetic component and then some aspect of theurgy with a being that is ontologically on a different rung of the ladder to you, those are the two things in the briefest sense that I would say are good. Oh, and another one from Alu. Same guy, what do you think of monks and Sufis who follow the devotional path? Is that path viable for initiation? So here's the thing. Initiation is upwards. And it's you do something to initiate the process, and then the process moves you upwards. Mysticism and that path is different. Mysticism, when you say, and a real mystic doesn't choose to be a mystic. Mysticism is when there's a thing above you that reaches down and grabs you and pulls you up. So it's the same path, the same phenomena, the same process, but you don't do anything in mysticism, technically. So the mystical literature is important for us because it's technically the same path. But in initiation, in occult philosophy, we do something. We instrumentalize something. We build certain qualities, we cultivate certain energies, and then a process begins. So yeah, like when a plant grows, you don't grab the plant and pull it out of the ground and that makes it grow. But you do provide the soil, you do provide nutrients, you let the sun hit it by placing it at a certain place, you allow the water to go in, you feed yourself certain teachings, you have a master maybe that helps you along the way, you have peers, you're in a spiritual environment. And all of this allows the plant to grow. You don't make it grow by pulling it, but you put things, you instrumentalize things in a certain way, and this initiates a process. So there is something to be learnt from our brothers on the devotional path. And if you are someone that vibrates with that path, more power to you. But if I tried to walk the devotional path, purely devotional, like I'm just going to stop everything and I'm just going to walk the devotional path, I would feel fake, like a fraud, and I would feel like I would feel fake and it wouldn't work. I already know that. Who's a mystic and who's an occult philosopher? That is almost like a tendency that's built into you before you're born. Like your higher self chooses, and how do I know what my higher self? What's your innate tendency? Is your innate tendency mysticism? Then you already know. Is your innate tendency, does all of this stuff that we talk about on this channel fascinate you? Well, then it's probably not the mystical path. I mean, read mystical literature, check them out, but you may want something more. Jacobo Mendez, Jacobo Mendez, 1429, asks, what is love? What is love's role in mysticism and spirituality? No hippy dippy bullshit. Genuinely curious from your perspective. Very interesting. Two very close things there. So love is a tool. No, what is love? Love is a magnetic quality that is able to bring things together. So, and let me qualify this statement. So in that mysticism context, like when we talk, what are they trying to do? They're trying to get to God, right? They're trying to get to the truth, the absolute. Can you see it? No, you can't. There's a veil in the way. There is something in the way, the cloud of unknowing, that stops us. And no matter how much we try with our rational mind to know, we can't. We can't perceive it with our senses. We can't pierce it with the illumination of our rational mind. Something in us can pierce it, though. So, what do we have? We have our physical body. We have our mental and emotional, matrix. But there's something more in us. There's some ontological essence. So it's this metaphysical framework that we have. That we live in a society. We live in a world, and there's a metaphysical world. And our physical world has its roots in the metaphysical world. Really, they're one. There is no bifurcation. There is no metaphysical world and physical world. Both of those worlds are one world. But because of the way we are, parts of our world are occulted to us. And so it appears that there's a bifurcation between a metaphysical and a physical. But really it's one, meaning that there's a piece of us in the metaphysical world. There's an aspect of us that's metaphysical, that's occulted to ourselves. There is some kind of psychic essence, some ontological essence within us. And that can touch things. That can go out and can experience, but it doesn't experience via senses, and it doesn't experience via logic. So intuition, this is where intuition has a real interplay, because when your essence is able to touch the essence of another thing, you can gain knowledge of it. And that knowledge may represent itself visually, it may represent itself via sound, or in another way, just as an abstract concept. But this is the way we gain gnosis, direct knowledge, via the inner mind. And it's like, how do you do that? Love is one of the mechanisms that allows that essence to pierce the cloud of unknowing. Love is the spear that allows it to go through. So your senses can't go through the cloud of unknowing, your mind can't, but your essence can. Okay, cool. What do I do? Do I sit in a chair? Love can be the trigger that allows, and also the spear that can pierce and allow the essence to reach the other side, to touch the other side. And when it touches something, if you close your eyes and you touch something, you can get a feedback. And obviously, like if you don't see something, you're in a dark room and you pick something up, what can you know about it? If you touch it around enough, you can maybe represent it in your mind as something. Maybe you can't give it the correct color, but you can begin to represent it in your mind. You can gain a representation of it. And you can start to say things and start to use qualities and talk about God or truth via using, in the way of the poet. Words aren't labels, they become signposts that point into a direction. That's what love is used for in that role of spirituality and mysticism. What role does love have to play in the more occult, esoteric philosopher path? It has a role to play, but later. The first thing in the philosopher occultist initiation path, it's more dry, ascetic, bracket the world until there's nothing left except you. And then you accept the essence itself, and then with that ground, you have a ground that's stable. You can then go off and do other things. And love may have some interplay in that path, but it's the esoteric philosophy path is more of the love of wisdom in and of itself, and love is the end. Love is it's not a means in the esoteric philosophy path, it's the end. You're doing it all in the end because you have this love of wisdom. That's how my interpretation anyway. Did he ask another question? Oh, Jacob Mendez again. If you could travel to one specific moment, event in human history, prehistory, where'd you go? If it was in prehistory, Atlantis. If it was in human history, recorded history, it would be one of the fuzzy places that we don't have much data on, like ancient Babylon, ancient Chaldea. I'd love to go there just to check out what it's like. Because everyone, they found in ancient Babylon, there's a statue with like Pythagoras' theorem in it that predates Pythagoras. So it's like Pythagoras didn't come out of that shit. He got it from somewhere. It seems like all of the mysteries go back to this Babylon, Assyrian, Akkadian, Sumerian, and the ancients themselves, they talk about Chaldea, and Chaldea's there as well. Chaldea was this little golden age that happened in between Assyrian, Babylon period. Like if you ever look up like ancient Babylonian Empire, it's like massive, and then it's ancient Assyrian Empire, and it's massive, and then you look at Chaldean Empire, and it's like where their capitals were, but it's this really small empire that arose, had a golden age for like 300 years, and then just disappeared from history. But we all mention it, Chaldeans in astrology and Chaldean oracles, and why do they talk about Chaldea? I want to go back there and figure out what's going on. Anyway, let me go through some more YouTube comments. I'll go back to the chat now, see what chat. Out tuition in the chat. No planetary destruction. Howdy. Kufanaut, Theodore Kent. In Arabic culture, poems is stupidly big thing, like really big. Even translated poems don't do justice to the original. Based. Everyone should read some Sufi poems. Necromonger. Rudolf Steiner directly talks about what you mention in a fair few places regarding theosophy. Okay, based. Another win for Steiner. Ornito Plays. Howdy. Don't badmouth Blavatsky. She indirectly inspired a bunch of anime. Based. Exactly. Adamu. I've got nothing against Jesus. It's his fan club that annoys me. 100%. Or as Nietzsche said, there was only ever one Christian, and he died on the cross. Necromonger. He said he left after they referenced a child being the new Christ. Oh, yeah, that was the Krishnamurti incident. Poor Krishnamurti. So, our tuition. So, theosophy might have a cold 6-piece nuggets of wisdom. 100%. Look, in certain places. I don't think there's anything in Leadbeater besides kindergarten teachings, and the same for Basant. If it's the first thing you've ever read, and you don't have access to anything else, I don't think it's going to do much damage, but for the love of God, keep reading. Necrodancer, become the best you can. Exactly. Theodore Kent, I really want to read some Rumi in his original Persian Farsi because his poems are so good, even when translated. Yeah, I know, right? Like I can't read Arabic or Farsi, but those guys, they slap. They slap hard. I'm not sure if it's like if people like Khalil Gibran cringe, but I love some Khalil Gibran. He's great. I know the prophet's like overread and stuff, but he's hot. He's got some hot stuff. Sufi poems are like insane with great insights. 100%. We need to get some Sufi love happening up in here. Hayden Bunting. Broda, just want to thank you for your channel. I had my paradigm shattered by a spiraling energy shooting up my spine and saw a wave of energy hit me from my partner's heart. Help. Did this happen on LSD? If you were taking any sort of drugs while this happened, I'm sorry to tell you, but it doesn't matter. Surf, nothing ever happens, guy fails. If nothing ever happens, guy fails, what happens? The end of the world. And that's why I'm excited. Scouts for the £5, thank you so much. Stop giving rational answers to schizo questions. That's what we're here for, bro. North Seeker, I found you through your Dune video. Then you introduced me to Gurdjieff. Then I met with a Gurdjieff group guy who told me that he got into Gurdjieff from Dune, lol. It's all an Ouroboros. That's how you know, North Seeker. That's based. That's such a good story. That's funny. Lucien, how did he get into Gurdjieff through Dune? Did he read Dune and was just like, I need to get into something? I want to know more about that. Ask him. Ask him and then come back and tell me. Lucien, what's the go with Raj Yoga? I think Raj Yoga's solid. It's just a base. Just Raja Yoga starts with the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, and that's like the base of all meditation, really. Most people who teach meditation in one way or another, they teach some kind of framework that's like, Patanjali's 8 limbs. What's my take on constitutional marriage? It's good. It is what it is, dog. Necrodance with another $5. Cultivation, a method of cultivating vril developed by Gunas. Vril mummies guide our silver cords in the astral. I hate to tell you, bro, but if your vril mummy has wings, succubus wings and devil horns, I don't think she's a vril mummy. I feel like I should talk more about constitutional marriage. It's not constitution. What about constitution? You mean like the government getting in on marriage? I hate the government. What do you think about marriage for religious purposes? Make baby good? I guess. Conjugal marriage. Swedenborg has stuff to say about that. Marriage good, if you can make it work. Marriage good. I want to give it something more, but it's such a lukewarm, like, racism bad, marriage good. Like, that's all I got for that question, dog. I don't know what you want from me. Out tuition. King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, dude. This sounds so familiar. Surf, have you tried joining secret VIP chat? It's gay, but you already paid. Scouse. Ghoulies was an 80s horror movie along with similar lines like Gremlins. Okay, yeah, no, I haven't heard of that. That's crazy. Necrodancer. Didn't know that was a feature, lol. Oh, you talk about the secret Telegram chat, which you can only access from members. Subscribe now. That's what they're talking about, guys. If you want to be in the secret Telegram chat, you gotta become a YouTube member. Yeah, this is what happens. Out tuition. If you want to reach the next level of esoteric mastery, I must start a pyramid scheme. Gotcha. Exactly. Right from your goon, says another guy. This method is held for review. Let me see. Show. Theodore Kent. Go the boonies. Fuck Hicks. I guess because you said the F word, YouTube didn't like it, Theodore. Surf. Work with warlords of Saturn. Man up. Exactly. Writing about tactile sensations isn't actually bad advice. Okay, cool. I hope that rambling helps, bro. Pharaoh, how do I start ceremonial magic? This is hard because, like, I didn't read intro books. I was in the generation where we just got a bunch of different books and would just flip and flopped around until you made something work. And then you just end up in this intermediate work realm where you're kind of like an intermediate practitioner. You want to start ceremonial magic? There's a YouTube channel called Dave the Amateur Magus. Check him out. Just check out his videos for basics. And then if you want some good ceremonial magic, read like Ingenium by Frater Acker. That's a good framework for the internal results that you can derive from practicing ceremonial magic. Also check out the Quarea courses online. Josephine McCartney, a lot of people don't like her. I think she's base. I think she's good. Just check her out. Everyone's saying based. I'm not sure what that was for. Necromonger Steiner is more saying for every step you take on esoteric understanding, take 2 steps towards your character. Oh, okay. Yeah. So it's possible, but it needs work towards the right ideal. Esoteric Programmer, howdy. Hey, Rich. The last month I've been on a magic kick. What are the top 5 rituals I should master as a beginner? I did the Less Banishing Ritual Pentagram, Raja Yoga for 3 years, manifested, but that was it. Well, if you're doing the Lesser Banishing Ritual Pentagram, right, you're doing Golden Dawn stuff. So try doing some hexagrams, try, figuring out what a Watchtower ritual is, and then engage in doing the Bornless, baby. Yeah, do some Kabbalistic crosses, do some pentagrams, do some hexagrams, and then, try to work towards the Bornless ritual if you're doing the Golden Dawn stuff. That's what I recommend. And then once you do the Bornless ritual is this really elaborate one. Then go back to the PGM and find the headless rite and start to make your own, strip things back. Start to strip things back and start doing your own thing. Because the headless rite is the framework from which the Bornless ritual is created out of. Scouse, if someone wanted to start working with Grimoires but knows next to nothing, if you want to start working with Grimoires, bro, get the PGM and get the Picatrix and then just start reading. That's all the advice I can give. Esoteric Programmer, Middle Pillar. Oh yeah, Middle Pillar as well is a great one. And it saw the other realm, like, okay. What's the Israel Regardie book? Is it just called Middle Pillar? That one's a good book. First Lion, do you feel that magic... First Lion, I think you asked that question in the YouTube thing as well. I haven't gotten to it. Do you feel that magic is external and real or more of an internal process? So I'll answer that question now, First Lion, and maybe I'll go back to some more YouTube questions. Is magic external and real? Yes. Practicing the occult has external results, and if you want to know about them, there's an entire field called parapsychology, which has over 100 years of case studies that you can go and look up. Check them out. Parapsychology, occultists nowadays should get into 2 things: philosophy and parapsychology. 100%. 100%. Now, I think we're getting some Nulu in the YouTube post comment. Is joining an esoteric school such as Martinist, Rosicrucian, or Golden Dawn Order absolutely necessary for getting long-term spiritual evolution? No, not at all. But it can help, and I think it's good. It's good to have peers, not necessarily to submit to a master, but to have peers who are at a similar level and in moving in a somewhat same direction can be unbelievably helpful. Unbelievably helpful. But if you just want to do it by yourself, and I think you said evolution, or can you pursue independent autodidact tract where you study practical works, or study and practice works such as meditations and the tarot, and become equal to superior to the members of such a... Yeah, sure. It's more, look, being a member of an order may accelerate you, and then being a member of an order for too long may hold you back. It's the same. It's the becoming a member of the order is the same with the use of systems. Becoming a member of the order, that order will have a system. So it's the same thing. As you start to grow and breach the borders of the system, you may naturally move away from membership of that order. Nulu's second question on the YouTube post. Esoteric orders all seem to heavily emphasize their legitimacy based on lineage. So in the West, they did this for a while, and now they don't anymore, and the ones that do are massively cringe. This is more of an Eastern thing. Beyond just the formal legacy this provides to a group, what is the esoteric aspect of becoming initiated into an order with such a... So here's the thing. If you're initiated in the way that, like, there's a ritual that's done, and you get blindfolded and taken through this place, and things happen, and then the blindfold gets taken off, and some guy's speaking to you the words of the initiation, you can have this weird moment where you're looking in this person's eyes, and you realize that at one point it was flipped. They were standing where you were, and there was someone standing where they are, giving them the initiation. And then it's like, not only that, but you realize that that person was also where you are, and there was another person behind them, and that proceeds, and there's a person behind them, and it's like, how far away does that go? How far back does that go? There's this chain that you kind of, I'm not going to say experience, it's like you almost get a feel that there's a chain of people who have experienced this thing that unites you in this certain way. And this is what people think of as a lineage, and that can have importance. There is, I'm going to say something controversial now, there is a more important lineage, and that is the lineage of the people who can actually walk the walk. Because there's some people who do these rituals, but then they're just businessmen. Like, Freemasons, they do these amazing esoteric rituals, and they just go and tell it's time to go to the festive board and tell the dirty jokes. There are occult systems where siddhis arise, where skill arises. This is why I like energetics better, because there are certain things that arise. It's not that you're looking for the powers, but the presence of powers is a litmus test. It's a signpost for the path that you're moving in the right direction. This is why I'm attracted to the Brotherhood of Miriam. They were very much about that. And they were more into healing, because it's the power of healing is one of the powers you can safely develop without too much chance of going crazy and becoming, like, I'm Jesus returned or something, like, I don't know, gaining other powers can kind of send people on a path of becoming a little megalomaniac. But I don't, just being a healer doesn't necessarily make you too crazy. But the Brotherhood of Miriam was one of those. That's why I wanted to interview Pantana, because he's the kind of the forefront for that. He's the English. What do you call it? He's the kind of the gateway for English speakers to kind of get to that order. Before him, it was just all in Italian, and you couldn't do anything about it. Where am I going with this? What am I talking about? Yeah. Skills, powers, they need to be present. Why do they need to be present? Because it shows that you've achieved something. If you go to a boxing gym, you want to get trained by someone who can box, right? If someone can't throw a punch, can they teach you to box? You want to learn how to deadlift. Can you get trained by someone who doesn't know how to deadlift? Who has never lifted the bar, but they've watched a bunch of YouTube videos? Can they teach you to deadlift really well and participate in competitions? There is a reality to the esoteric path. And it's not just, I had a deep insight, now I'm enlightened. It's like, bro, you're not built different, you're built the same. There is a qualitative change between a master and someone who is still at the beginning of the path. That's the real lineage. You find the guy who can do, and there's not many people who can. And it's like, a lot of the societies and orders, it's good to have peers, and it's good to have this lineage. because that lineage also shows a lot of the societies and orders also have a build-up of, books and literature and old stories of histories, and all of those things can be signposts. All of those things can be clues that point you into a direction of someone who does know. That's why it's important. But the real lineage is the person who actually can do it. It's not just the person who has received all the correct teachings, or this person has received all of the, he's a knight of this order, and a knight of Malta, and a 33 degree, and a 96 there, and a 27 up the bum, and, who cares? Who cares? Does he, has he experienced the illuminating void? Does he, does he have any extra normal Kabbalistic knowledge that allows him to do certain things? The skill is important. Cities are important. Powers are important. Authority comes from competence. To be competent means you actually have a little something. It's not, and I mean, to a little degree, when you're a beginner, just a little bit of insight will help. But yeah, anyway, I'm rambling now. It's like, some people say lineage is good, but it's like, if the lineage is just a bunch of titles, it's useless. There is lineage and there's lineage, is what I'm trying to say. Necromonger from the YouTube post. When we crystallize something within ourselves, universal and of value to perpetuate. So when we crystallize something that can perpetuate itself beyond death, do you believe that it's literally us ourselves in some ideal spirit form, or rather it is some unique spirit force that is upheld, that we somehow crafted? In short, is it literally some version of us, or is it like an artifact that we've made and we hand over to later epochs? Great question. What I hope is that it's us. And it could be that you build and you build and build this artifact that gains certain qualities of yourself, like parts of yourself move into it. It's almost like, what are you if you take away all of your emotions? You're still kind of a person. What are you if you're just emotions, but you take away all of your intellect? You're like an autistic child. Like, you're still a person, though. It's like there are these parts of us, and when you put them all together, that's us, that's our personality whole. The thing we build, depending on the quality of it, how much of our personality can we transfer to it, is the question. And it's like, if it's just an astral body, it may just be our emotions and motivations and some memory. If it's a mental body as well, maybe ideas that we've had can be continued over consciously. And maybe it's only when we have an astral body, a mental body, and a causal body can we take the whole thing, our ideas, the way we think, our emotions, and even a little bit of our memories and a little bit of our identity can actually be moved, and our motivations itself, our real motivations, our deep motivations ourselves can be kind of moved into this plexus, this matrix of different bodies, and perpetuated throughout time. But the question arises, you as you are now. How many practices, how much discipline, how much qualities arise, and how much qualities that you dissolve and leave in the past to arrive at the point where you've fully crystallized all of those things? What kind of person would you be? You'll be a completely different person from who you are now anyway. So there's a little hanky-panky little, anyway, that's kind of where my thinking goes. First Lion. Hey, I got up to your question in the post. Let me go. Oh, and then here we go. Kuthnaut in the post. Question in the post is next. I have quite the link of problem questions, although it's a bit different. My question is, can you have some sort of false enlightenment? Yes. Like the ability to see from the perspective of this person the whole world much clearer, and very strong determination towards a metaphysical goal. Why is that a false enlightenment? Not fancy car entertain harem, and walking through the goal you made some questionable decisions with hazardous morality. Huh? Is this false enlightenment a necessary step towards real enlightenment? I mean, we have experiences, and some experiences can just be fabrications, but every experience we have, in essence, is made out of mental stuff. It's made out of, if you want to use Eastern terms, every experience you have is a fabrication. So you don't even want to say experience, but all of your experiences are still made of something, right? They're made of the chitta, mind stuff. To use Eastern terms, to be enlightened is to what? Is to turn away from the skandhas. Well, if you're turning away from the skandhas, what's doing the turning away? If you're turning away from that which is fabricated, thought, feeling, persona, society, if you're turning away from all that's fake, what's doing the turning? Well, it's the chitta. So there's something in your experiences. So if you have an experience that Jesus comes down and goes into your butthole and tells you that you're the chosen one, obviously don't, jump on that and it's probably not the case. I'm just going to say it right there. You're not the chosen one. You're not built different, bro. You're built the same. But the fact that you had that experience, and there's still, I'm being facetious. Maybe I should give a real one. Say not a real one that I've had, but as a fake one, say you experience a being, the clouds opening up and a being speaking to you. And it's that may be fabricated. What it says to you may not be important. You may want it to be important, but it may not be. It may be that it was in the clouds. Why was it in the clouds? Why was it not a chthonic being that came from the waters? Why didn't it come from the ground? And when you look at it in the cloud, what did it look like in your memory? It has certain qualities. It didn't really have eagle wings, but there was something about it that reminds you of eagles. Something about it, had a crown, and you realize it has Jupiterian qualities. What I'm trying to say is your experiences are fabrications, but there's still something in your experience that's important. There's something behind the experience. There's the archetypes behind the experience that you're trying to reach. So I'm stretching your question here, but it's can you have false enlightenments? Enlightenments, this is a wrong term. Don't use the term enlightenment. Can you have false experiences? 100%. And you can have experiences if you remote view, you can remote view something correctly, you can remote view something wrongly. Can you have right and wrong experiences? If you do an invocation, can you invocate an angel? Can that experience be fabricated by your mind? Yes, but there may still be something in there that's important. I hope that answered your question. It's just the part that tells you that you're the chosen one is probably not the important part. That's the thing that trips you up. Let's go back to the chat now. Let's go back to the chat. Captain Blimp, welcome. Welcome, Lord Adonis. Another Queensland boy, welcome. So Willie Smalls, be moral and focus on advancement in the physical. Then take a break and make your guna land in the astral after death. Simple delayed gratification. Oh my god, is that a dabbing emoji? Oh my god, that's amazing. I've never seen that before. But yes, Sir Willie Smalls is correct. Bobby Jones, welcome. SS Elves all the way. What was that for? Surf? Another guy, don't go to the moon, bro. The mother goddess of depravity is there. Exactly. Reincarnation is problematic, yes. There are some problematic things. I think not everyone reincarnates. Let me just put it like that. Necrodancer. Knort, we need eternal memory, gang. Hell yeah, baby. Rosary, concentration without effort, and backwards review are what I'm doing. That's good, Nulu. That's real good. Quadrillions need eternal memory. Damn straight. Wesley Sullivan, it's been a long time. What's up, bro? Have you read Brother of the Third Degree? Yes, I have. That's a great... I think the three great occult novels of the Western tradition, The Red Lion, Zanoni, and The Brother of the Third Degree. Those are all kind of they're old novels now, But those are occult novels which I think everyone should read. 100%. 100%. Brother of the Third Degree is great. I gave my copy to some assholes, so I don't have it anymore, but I'm like, oh, if I had it, I'd read it again. Nulu, the zone of silence is growing within me every day. Hopefully I get to the point of transformation of work into play. Based. Kuthnaut. So initiation is ascending and mysticism is descending. Yeah, I don't want to say all initiation is ascending, but fundamentally there's two paths. One's descending and one's ascending. And the one you choose is more of a tendency. And both paths should study each other. Kimberly K, I think the path of the mystic is path of suffering and pain, to the point that something literally feels sorry for you and helps you. Yeah. So there's grace. Grace is the mechanic that functions in the path of the mystic that reaches down and pulls you up. There's also a type of grace in the path of the occult philosopher initiation where you exert so much effort that even the gods are impressed. And it's like you exert so much effort. Like, here's where you're trying to get. You need to complete the octave. Let's be Gurdjieffians for a moment. You need to complete the octave. And it's like you get to the point and it's like, oh, you don't reach. But you've exerted so much effort. Even the gods are impressed and they reach down and they just pull you that little extra bit. So grace even exists in the path of initiation. The higher beings also, in a sense, can come down and help out. Esoteric Programmer, any opinions on Wes Huff, the Christian academic that exposed Billy Carlson? He didn't talk great about the Ethiopian Bible or Book of Enoch. Huh. I'm not up to the controversy, so I don't have opinions. I'm sorry. I have to look it up later. Or I don't know, clue me in. Tell me more about it. And I'll give you my take. Richard saying, vibrator he done felt new aging. No, I'm not saying that, no. Exactly. The biggest hurdle when I was younger was not realizing that immaterial and material are an entangled unity, very based. Dualism is a necessary hurdle you have to get through. 100%. One of the litmus tests for me to know if someone is truly tapped in is when he can see beyond dualism and can actually reach the non-duality. Oh God, someone started mowing the lawn. Let me just move. Ugh. Okay, hopefully we can hear better now. I'm in green screened it up. Say, hey Akash, welcome. Agape, Ratri Dharma, salutations, brother. Props to you. Your content is top notch. Thank you, bro. I will comment to myself. I will gain knowledge. Anyway, millions need to know stuff. Yes, millions need to know. If you really think about it, reaching eternal memory is probably the real foundation of building. 100%. Enigma in the chat. Where do you stand in relation to theosophy, anthroposophy, etc. versus traditionalist school debate? Ooh, you see, here's the thing. I actually don't like the traditionalists that much, mainly because I disagree with Rene Guénon about everything. But I think Julius Evola's good, and I need to read... I need to read Anandakirti Kumaraswamy. I need to read... What's the guy's name? Algis Uzvinas? I need to read some Henri Corbin. I've read more theosophy and anthroposophy than I've read traditionalist stuff. So, and I see the links, I see the connections, I see what they're trying to get at, and I see the criticisms 100%. But I think, I don't know. I like to synthesize. So perhaps there could be a synthesis one day between the theosophists, a reconciliation between the theosophists and the traditionalists. Kuthnaut, or Adamu with the 5 poundus. Thank you. 100-year-old ginseng buttplug Kali's bathwater. AA Gimp Mask 4th Way Foreskin Bundle. Choose one. Also, thoughts on far chi emissions? What do you mean by that? You mean like far chi emissions? You mean like when Tai Chi guys like throw their students around? Like Far Gong? What's that called? Is that called Far Gong? Because I think a lot of that, 50% of that is like Tai Chi people playing mind games with their students, and then the other 50% is the Tai Chi guy has chi, but he's not emitting chi. He's doing something within his own body, which then manipulates the other body, but through a connection. It's not an emission. I'm sure chi emission exists, and perhaps there's some ancient master that got to the level where he could literally emit chi out of his fingers and chi blast someone from a mile away, but nah, that's... What you see nowadays isn't a chi emission. That's if we're talking about the same thing. Oh, and you want me to choose between... I'm going to choose the 100-year-old ginseng butt plug, dog. Not going to lie. I want that... I swear I can convert that into a T. AA Gimp Mask. Fourth Way Foreskin, Jesus Christ. You find my magic lamp and genie pops out offering 3 wishes. How do you proceed? I wish for everybody in the world to switch genders. And then for my second wish, I would wish for everyone to get a counter over their head that shows every time you think about killing someone, but you don't go through with it. And then for my third wish, I want everybody at the age of 40 to switch back to their original gender. That's what I get for 3 wishes. No million wishes, no superpowers. If I had a genie lamp, I would just F with the world as much as possible, 100%. Another guy. According to the Kabbalistic view, anything... That lawnmower guy just moved again. According to the Kabbalistic view, anything that tries to be or do what God is evil. So mages would be evil too, regardless if they would be the righteous. The Kabbalistic thing is all to do with... There's a radical separation between God and creation in Kabbalah. It comes from the Jews. So it's like in Kabbalistic stuff, you never really become God. You always become a sub-God, a sub-deity next to God. You know, the 2 powers in heaven thing is a big controversy in their mysticism. So that's what they mean by that. But I know the mage, being a mage, something that's like God is evil, because that's more of like they don't want... It's you have to be wary of things that imitate. Things that say that they're God, but they're not God. But in a sense, we are trying to imitate God to get closer. I mean, Metatron. Is Metatron evil because he's so close to God that he even sometimes sits in God's throne? What's the difference between Metatron and an evil mage, then? So anyway, I'm just going around that topic, but yeah... I think that comes more from the be wary of things that try to imitate God kind of thing. PGM is the Greek magical papyri. They shorten it to PGM because it's like the French or something is PGM. Anyway, the Greek magical papyri, sorry. Nulu, will God acting as... If you're following what is God, if you're following what is God's will, would it be would be righteous, and not if it diverges from what? What does God? Here's the thing, though. I'm more of a panentheist, so does God have a will? Or more precisely, does the universe have a will? And if it is, because this is a part of the work thing, this is part of the Neoplatonism. There's a universal mind, there's a world soul. You have a soul. Do you know you have a soul? Do you need to create a soul? You introspect, go inwards to go upwards, but you go inwards and you awaken your will. And then you align your will to the universal will. That's a part of the work. Hayden Bunting, what function is the Kundalini spiral engine up the spine? What function? So, this is, what function does it have? That's not a function, that's not you doing the function. The Kundalini goes up the spine and it has effects, is the correct way to say it. The effects that it has is it supposedly awakens the chakras. And through the chakras, and the chakras are seats of divinity. And usually only one aspect, the male or the female, is present. But when the Kundalini rises, the male and the female reconcile and you get both. And the full chakra awakens, which renders specific powers and specific knowledge onto the people. Here's the thing. Yeah. It's just, I don't know. The more I've kind of gone off Kundalini, it's just cringe. I don't even like to talk about it anymore. It's just too many people. The New Age stuff ruined Kundalini, 100%. It's better to just say sacred fire. And even then, there's a problem with the Kundalini is there are aspects of the Kundalini that lead to delusion because it allows for this visual aspect to become primary in the esoteric work. So there are, if you read traditional texts, there are even traditional texts that do claim Kundalini is actually negative, not because of Kundalini sickness, but it can lead you into delusion. It's not like a catch-all, you awaken Kundalini and you're on the path now. Even if that's possible, most people don't have the Kundalini. Most people who experience the Kundalini don't have the Kundalini. Most people just put a load of energy on their nervous system and it blew them out for a little bit. And then they talk to someone about it. It's like, oh, you felt a pulse up your spine. That's the Kundalini. And it's like, no, dog. You just overloaded your nervous system. That means you just need to get back to basic energy work. Or maybe not do energy work. You got a little chi deviation. Just do some more mysticism for a while and then come back. Greek magical papyri. Does he even lift? Not enough. Not enough. I mainly do push-ups and pull-ups. Would I be esoteric programmer? Would I be able to clip and do edits for schizo posts? Yeah, sure thing, esoteric. No problem. When we crystallize eyes within ourselves. Jesus Christ, necrodancer. Adamu. Is funny to think I don't think my personality is particularly worth preserving. Yes. Yeah, same. There's just aspects that are worth preserving. There are things that I think should not be forgotten. My poor essence has gone through things in this life where I'm like, God, if I have to, why do I go through it again? And it's like you shouldn't go through it again. Okay, so I should contain something within myself that allows myself to know so I don't fall into it again. But if you erase everything, it's like, and you just start off again in another life. Oh, but you learn your lesson. No, that's bullshit. That's New Age slop. If you're really an old soul, why are you still a retard? If you've been through a million bajillion lives, you've been everything in a past life. If you've been everything in a past life, why do you still make mistakes? There's something wrong that you're not reconciling with your idea of past lives. If I have lived every life, why can't I access my past lives? I can access some memories, but when I call to some other memories, they don't come. There's some mystery there. Nulu, thanks for answering everyone's questions. Here are two more. Thoughts on numerology. LP numbers? Life path numbers? Numerology is a good way to get people a little skip. Thoughts on MBTI types. I think MBTI types are a little overdone, and I think they chop and change throughout your life. So doing it doesn't, like, and I'm an INTJ now, and that makes me amazing. And it's like, you may change a little bit over time, and you may get a different result depending on the day. I don't know how that got popular, bro. You may as well just do astrology. Thoughts on numerology? Numerology gets you a little schizo because numbers are everywhere. So if you start studying numerology, you get a little bit schizo because numbers are everywhere. So I don't think it's... If you want to get numerology, just study more things like the tarot. That's what I'd say. Study ciphers and things like that. Don't get books on numerology, or if you go to numerology, do actual proper Pythagoreanism. Get the Theology of Arithmetic by Iamblichus and read that instead. That would be better, numerology. As for life path numbers, when you get your birth date and you numerologically calculate it down into a single digit, correspond that to a tarot card, and that's your life path. Kuthnon, so basically you need to build a strong perception or filter to categorize the experience you've had, otherwise you may fall into the false enlightenment. Actually, so there's two things to say about that. Your filter is kind of the problem, because your filter is made of all of your prejudices. Your filter is what makes you intelligent. People who are really intelligent filter things more efficiently than others. If you show a chess master a random board game and you ask them who's winning, they can instantaneously just be like, black's winning. If you show a random person on a chessboard and ask them who's winning, they have to go, which piece is the king again? And they have to do that, they have to calculate and go, I think it's white because of this, and this. It's like, if you show someone a bunch of statistics, they can't make heads or tails of it. But if you show an expert analyst a bunch of statistics, they can filter out all of the dross and go, okay, this means this. Intelligence is a filter, but there's a problem. Your filter filters out the things that you want to experience. So when I tell you, put your attention on your hand, what do you feel? So at first you don't feel anything, but then you start to feel your hand, okay? You feel your palm. You start to feel your skin. You can start to feel your fingers, the back of your hand. You can feel your flesh. Maybe you can feel your bones if you leave your awareness on it enough. Maybe if you leave your awareness on it enough and you have your attention in your hand enough, you can feel like your blood, your heartbeat in your hand. That's always there, but you filter it out. So one of the problems with when you're working in a path that's just the consciousness with the consciousness, you're actually relaxing I hate the term relaxing. You release the filter and you allow your consciousness to expand into your body, or expand into wherever. And this allows you to gain different phenomenological perceptions. So that's the kind of the trigger. Afterwards, when you contemplate and analyze what you've experienced in meditation, when it's over, sure, you can. Then the filter comes back, and you got to, because you can't always be in that state. If you're just always in the state of absorption, you don't see the car in front of you and just crash. You come out of it and you come back into normal life with your filters on. So you use that data to, I guess, refine your filter. You build an esoteric filter. But you're not sitting in that filter in meditation. When you're doing exercises with the consciousness, you're actually releasing. Esoteric programmer, on false experiences, how would you approach them and not be deceived? This is tough. For me, I have imposter syndrome, and I enjoy leaving it there because I've seen so many people Dunning-Kruger affect their way through spirituality that they just become retarded. And it's like, I'm glad that I have imposter syndrome. I'm glad that I don't feel worthy. I don't feel worthy. I don't feel that you should be listening to me. I don't feel that I have any particular insight or knowledge. I feel I have complete and utter imposter syndrome. And I know I do. And I actually allow it to just continue to be there. Because that holds a check. And I've seen and maybe if it removed, maybe I'd be fine. Maybe I'm virtuous enough. Who knows? But like, I've seen other people who have certain tendencies go completely off the rails. And even in a slow way, like over the years, at the start, they're genuine. But over the years, they have a little experience and they tell it and they give it a little lecture here. And it's hard because when, if you start giving lectures in esotericism and people come to you and they say like, oh my God, I've been searching this my entire life. And it's even, doctors, lawyers, people who are successful in life, in every way in life, can come to you and be like, wow, man, you've got it all. This is amazing. And they really tell you beautiful things. And it's like, if you're someone who's not successful in life and you have people who are successful telling you you're amazing, or later on you start giving people spiritual advice, like you're tempted to, like, oh, well, you could do this, you could do that. And it's like, oh, well, that helps so much, man. It's like you get all of these positives. And then it becomes to be this thing that's like, yeah, I'm right. And then you start to give someone an advice and it's like, oh, you didn't do it. Oh, it didn't work, or you didn't do it properly. It's like, oh, you're just not worthy. And it's like, it starts to there's this thing that slowly starts to just, and they just become, they become weird over time. Over time, they become always right. They can never be wrong. They become too familiar with esoteric things that it becomes almost like sacrilegious, a casualness where it's just like, oh, yeah, whatever. And they can just scoff anything you say away. They're always correct. And then one day you just look at them and you're like, oh my God, he's turned into a megalomaniac. It's over. And it's tragic because that could be someone you've been on the path with for over 10 years. It's tragic. And it's just like, yeah. And you just gotta go, okay, bro, I'm just gonna go and do something else. And you just gotta cut contact. Anyway, but for yourself, I have imposter syndrome, so that's just what I use. And that always just kind of adds as a check. It's like, I've had experiences here and there, and it's like, I've had certain experiences of this, I've had certain experiences of that, but it's always come back to like, who the fuck am I? And it's like, I can't. The other thing is, this is the other thing. There is a tendency in all people to move the goalpost towards themselves. There are a bunch of people online who think they're arhats. And then you go and you like look up the requirements for being an arhat and you go, hey, do you have all of these qualities? And they're like, no. And you say, well, then you're not an arhat. And they go, oh, those are metaphorical. There's this tendency to move the goalpost towards you. And it's like, that's why I keep this. People say it's silly. And it's like, no, man, you look at enlightenment. You look at the requirements for enlightenment. In the Theravada tradition, one of the requirements for being a Buddha is that you are able to levitate off the ground and excrete both fire and ice out of the pores of your skin at the same time. If you're not an anime protagonist, you're not a Buddha. And people are like, oh, that's just silly. That's nonsensical. And it's like, you know what's more nonsensical? Meditating for years, thinking that you've gained insight, and then thinking that you're actually enlightened, but you're actually normal, and you've actually never taken one step off of the beginning of the path. That's cringe. So there always needs to be some check. And for me, I have my own imposter syndrome, and I like the completely unrealistic expectations. When I read old yoga manuals and it's like, once you awaken this chakra, you'll be able to levitate and control the earth element. I'm like, yes, based. If I can't do that, I don't have that chakra. And that's like the first chakra. And then you look at all these other people who've awoken the third eye and they're completely egotistical. And it's like, yeah, I think we dropped out there for a second. I think that's a sign. How many questions do I have left in the YouTube page? Let me see if I can do a lightning round. Kara Salpine. Can I escape perception and perspective as a whole while being? I want to see the world outside of any perspective, but I feel like that's contradictory. No, you can. You just have to turn away from the skandhas. So what you have to do is read the Adhyama and understand what the skandhas are, and then understand what turning away means, and then reconcile that with Gurja's fourth way. Do self-remembering, and you should work out. Activate the higher cylinders, and once the higher cylinders connect with your lower cylinders, you're good to go. You're good to go. Nulu, what is the esoteric relationship between the pineal gland vibrating in the forehead and the heart? The esoteric relationship is, early theosophists made it up. Look, there's something to say. There's something to say. Your endocrine glands have a very interesting connection with spirituality and internal alchemy. But I would prefer old sources over new sources, i.e. do Taoist alchemy. Scouse, what are your thoughts on the Abramelin operation? I think it's bloated and overused, and I think you should just do the Bornless ritual instead. Can you elaborate, Lat CQ, can you elaborate on the complete annihilation path of Buddhism? No. Nulu asks, Adam and Eve eating of the tree of knowledge of good and evil as being the automatism of the intellect and imagination, which prevents man from becoming united with himself and united with the spiritual world, eating the tree, being concentrated without effort, which leads to unity of one's... Yeah. So in Kabbalistic theory, there's a form of Kabbalistic psychology which isn't often talked about called Partsufim theory. And there's a lot of different parts, but I'll just talk about three. There's the Nefesh, the Ruach, and the Neshama. The Ruach is the masculine. Below him is Nefesh, who's a female, and she's asleep. And above him is the Neshama, who's also feminine. The Ruach is you're conscious as you are during the day. Nefesh is who you are at night. It's your astral self. When you go to sleep, you're like Sleeping Beauty. If you're able to join the Ruach and the Nefesh in marriage, then when you go to sleep, you're able to maintain your awake state and you can astrally project. And there's also other things in the Nefesh, wisdom there. The masculine and feminine. This is the anima and the animus, but not Jungian Kabbalistically. But there's a higher thing as well, not just Sleeping Beauty, but also Rapunzel. There's a higher feminine that you can attain. The Nefesh, she is imagination. She is, and it's the Nefesh. There are higher things, like the Akida, the Chia, but you don't interact with them. The Nefesh does, and she comes down and speaks to you, and speaks to the Ruach in his dreams. And so it's this interesting thing. You're this masculine thing flanked by two women. It's the male with two women next to him, and you can say it's like the two Marys, or the mother and the virgin, or something like that. This symbol goes all the way back to Kabbalistic Partsufim theory. The Nefesh, which is the woman under the Ruach, the Sleeping Beauty, the subconsciousness, the Ruach, which is your consciousness, and then there's some kind of, it's not super consciousness. The Nefesh, Neshama, the Neshama is the high thing. It's because they both start with N. I'm like, Nefesh, Sleeping Beauty, Neshama, Rapunzel. And she's a higher principle, which can get things even higher from her father, and she can give that knowledge to us. And both these feminine things can reconcile with the male Ruach. That's what needs to happen. Next question, Nulu. Why did Freemasonry push to destroy all monarchies and institute democratic republics? The secret society that used Freemasonry had that as their goal, not necessarily Freemasonry. If a religious rule, despite keeping the masses ignorant of esoteric reality, still pushed the masses towards living virtuous lives guided by Christian morality, whereas now the masses are guided towards acting on their lowest impulses and are lost in the darkness of materialism. Yeah, this is just secularism. This is all of because of that secret society. The Freemasons were just used fundamentally. Used, abused, and then that force left them, and now they're just a shell that perpetuates. And they're fine now. You can go into Freemasonry and you can get some interesting mysteries. They're custodians of interesting mysteries and symbols which they not necessarily know the meaning of. Cuthnot, I hope you didn't record yet. I got a question. Guess what, Cuthnot? I'm going to answer. Like now, lol, anyway, can prayer be considered some kind of magic? Yes. Like, aren't they have some similarities, right? They both evoke something. Magic is more like open, and like textbook prayer is more like closed type. Yeah, I get what you mean. Read The Cloud of Unknowing. Cuthnot, read The Cloud of Unknowing. Scouse, carrying over from the last Q&A, given your definition provided, have you experienced dark night of the soul? That's personal. What is the spiritual significance of enjoying pineapple on pizza, says Scouse. The spiritual significance is, this is the only way to the absolute, is to eat pineapple on pizza. That's the truth. That's the truth. Okay, those are all the YouTube questions. Let me just dive into chat for a little bit, see if I can get to the bottom, and then we might have to wrap it up. Blah, 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 blah. Jason Valencia, hey, how's it going? So there's hope. Book of Enoch sounds like an ET abduction if you read. No, it's Merca for mysticism. Another guy, is it just me or the live stream lagged as if it's melting and is now delayed? Subs a glitch. Uh-oh. I guess it's Jove. I think that's it, everyone. Goodbye.